At this point in our process, we're going to, for the entrance road, we're going to take a look at creating a composite section. And then that composite section will then be pushed or applied to the chain and profile that we just created, and that will create the finished roadway surface. The composite section is a tool that can be used to define multiple site elements based on a primary element, or in this case, the center line. Beginning on page 28, that'll take us through 29, 30, 31, 32, and then into 33. So let's switch back into Power Civil, into our site file and our model. So I'm inside the site model, and I want to open up the Compsection tool. So Modeler Tools Compsection. That'll bring up my Compsection dialog, and I want to set up the top portion of it. I want to add the site elements that I'm going to create to this entrance road object. I want to define the primary element by chain and profile, and I'll simply just choose the chain and profile from the GPK file that I want to apply this to. So again, I'll select chain Intran, my design profile. As far as the alignment symbology, we will draft the center line of the roadway. So I want to right click on there, set it to by element, and go pick my centerline graphic, or one of the centerline graphics. That will set up the symbology to match. So I'll click OK, and I've now set up my alignment definition. Now, to set up my comp section, I need to focus my attention on the left side and right side details tabs on the dialog. But first, let's just review what the section manager is. Section manager is a way of organizing all my typical sections in one location, and I can quickly flip through them so I can see the different typicals for my organization and company. So I simply will create the section files. That's done on the left side and right side tabs. Save those off. Saving is done through the file save command. That creates an SEC file. And once I have those SEC files, I come here to the section manager and I create rows pointing to that section. So descriptions and the section that goes with it. And then I can save that off as well through the icons here on the dialog. So hopefully you'll create a library of typicals and you won't have to set them up all the time. We're going to go through the process of setting up the left side and the right side. So I'm going to clear out my left side if I have information there. So on the left side of my roadway, the first thing I want to do is find the edge of pavement. So to do that, I'm going to define that edge of pavement as an element, which means I drew it in the file. It's a graphic. It exists in the file. I'm going to find it and define it as a break line in Site Modeler, and its elevation will be based on a 2% slope down, in this case from the primary element, which is the center line. The projection option is entire element. So now I need to be able to tell it where is my center line, what level is it on, what color, and so forth. I right click, set it to by element, click on the edge of pavement, accept it, and I'll see it's set up on level DES EFP, color by level, line code by level, weight by level. Then how far away is it? In this case it's 13 feet away or 12 feet away, and so I just set it to 13 here so that it finds the edge of pavement, and then I can add it to my list. Now it might be helpful to bring up a section viewer, so there's an icon and I can see what the section will look like in kind of a cross-section scale there. The next thing I want to do after I define the edge of pavement is I want to place a curb and gutter there. So we'll define that as a section, similar to the main road section, or the shoulder that we place on the main road. So I'm going to define a section as a boundary, and I'll section by table. And I'm going to place this section to the left side of the edge of pavement. So now I just need to set up my table. So the first entry in my table will be 1.5 feet away and down 0.2 of a foot, minus 0.2 of a foot, so minus 0.2 will be the gutter line. So I'm going to select from my DDB how I want gutter lines to be drawn. So I'm going to go to Plan, Roadway, and DES Gutter. Now if I don't select a pay item, then we'll simply just use the active symbology at the time that we run the tool, and we'll place it on that level, weight, and color. But if I want to control the symbology, I introduce a pay item that will draw it appropriately. So essentially we're copying the edge of pavement parallel 1.5 feet and assigning it the symbology of this item, DES Gutter. Now next, 1.7 feet away and 0.5 feet higher than the edge of pavement, I want to put the top of curb. So I select that pay item so it draws it appropriately and add it to my list. All distances and elevations are referencing the item or the item above it in the list, in this case, which is the edge of pavement. Same offset elevation for the back of curb, but DESCTB is the item name, and I'll add that to the list. Now that I have the section constructed, I'll add it to the main list in the Compsection dialog. And you can see in the Compsection viewer it draws it. So all distances again are measured from the edge of pavement, and all elevation changes are measured from there as well. The next thing I want to do is take this same information and do it on the right side of the road. So to do that, I'm just going to copy the left side. So I highlight both items, copy, go to the right side, and I'll hit paste. Now I can see in the viewer it switches over to the right side, and I can see there's a little bit of difference there in the curb and gutter section. But there's other changes on the right side that aren't on the left, and one is that my pavement widens up by the building. So I go from a 12-foot lane to a 22-foot lane. So I want to make sure that I change my max search distance for the edge of pavement, because I want it to find the edge of pavement in that widening area. So I'm going to increase my max distance by 10 or 20 to 23, and I'm going to modify that. The other thing is the section on the right side, edge of pavement, needs to go to the right side of the element, not the left. So as we go up to on the right side, I'll switch the side to right, modify. And then finally, the last thing, I'm going to go back to the left side. As we come around on the left side of the road, we cross by the parking lot, where we have these dashed elements that represent the pavement edge as we extend through that area. I want to go ahead and slope to those as well. So on the and they're only on the left side. So on the left side, I'm going to set it up as a feature, just to show you the difference here between what a feature would be in an element. I'm going to set that feature type to boundary minus 2% from the primary. Entire projection is entire element. Now under search extent, where we were searching for a level, weight, and color of an element, now the element I'm going to be searching for will be a feature from DNC Manager. And I'm going to select the DES join line feature. The distance is 13, and I'm going to add it to the list. So the difference between feature and element, let me move this up to the top, is the graphic itself was drawn by using the Design and Computation Manager feature versus just drawing on a certain level, weight, and color. So it's going to search for that feature, which has embedded in the item, feature item itself, a level, weight, and color. So there's really not a lot of difference there. It's just one was drawn with DNC Manager and Power Civil, and one was just drawn while in straight level symbology and Power Civil. But the result will be the same. It'll be it'll find the element and slope to it. So that kind of defines my roadway. If I look at the section viewer, I can see both sides now. And I'm going to go ahead and process it. So once we have it set up for the left and right, I can hit apply, and it'll go through there and it'll process the road left side, right side, edges of pavement, join lines, and then adding the section. And if I zoom, I can see that the roadway was constructed. We can save the comp section off, like I said. I can do a save as, and it'll save it as an SEC file. And then I can use that as my typical section, maybe for for my project. Now that we have the entrance road completed and the main road completed, we're going to focus our attention on grading out the intersections, and we'll do that next.